Let's get to the next one. Con Man has it here.
Yeah, BA. Mahomes and Kelce can only be compared to Brady and Gronk or Rivers and Gates. They're a Rushmore QB tight end tandem. Is that BS or no BS, BA?
That's no BS, man. This tandem has been great for 10 years. And, they just passed Gronk and Brady for, I think, the most touchdowns in the playoffs. And Antonio Gates just went in Hall of Fame. Man, these combinations, I go way back to John Mackey and John Unitas, was, I thought, one of the greatest too. But these guys, they're just tight ends. They're receivers. They're game changers. They're game wreckers. And, the quarterbacks love those tight ends.
Is the tight end position more prominent now than it's ever been? And will we see more of quarterback tight end duos that might be able to catch up to these four that you just referenced?
Yeah, I think you're seeing more and more athletic tight ends, but the guys like Gronk they can block, and catch and go out and be a wide receiver, they're very rare birds. But college football is starting to put the tight end position back out there a little bit.
Travis Kelce, the reason why he's so good is because he just had a feel for the game that was just better than anybody, much like Gronk, I guess, and probably the basketball player,
Antonio Gates, yeah. I mean, Antonio Gates had a great feel. Phillip knew where he was all the time, and they'd always go trips. Antonio Gates on the backside. Let's get a safety back here and give him a two-way go. That's not a fair fight.
And how about Gronk? They talk about his football IQ as if it's just outrageous.
I mean, if you go look back at the Super Bowl, his second touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a corner route, all right? He sees Tom, and he sees the DB turn. He turns and goes back inside. Tommy hits him for a touchdown. That's just playing great football. And that's Kelce all the way. Him and Mahomes. There's no design plays. Just go out there and get your ass open. I'll get it to you.
And he, even by his own self-admittance, had to get better at blocking as he got older, I think, as he became more of a prominent tight end in the GOAT conversation. I think he felt obligated for the position, but also for the good of the offense. Started putting his body in the way later in his career as opposed to earlier in his career, which is completely ass backwards whenever it comes to everything. But I think that's because of how much he appreciates the position and how much he appreciated the opportunity to be part of the good Chiefs, because I think he was there when they were ass, too. I think at the beginning of his career, I think they were not good. And then they get great, and he's a huge piece of it. I think he feels like he had to hold up his end of the bargain.
Yeah, without a doubt. And he came on and basically talked with us about how they went through that period where the offense kind of had to change. They went from, where he was having 14 catches a game and 130-plus yards, and he was like, no, I had to learn how to block a lot more and then just make more out of the opportunities that I was given. And then obviously in the playoffs, it seemed like he was good for a touchdown every single playoff.
I will say this guy gets it right a lot of the time. Okay, they get it right a lot of the time because just like all of us and just like Schefter said yesterday, we've all seen it a lot on TV. We can almost guess what it's going to be. He, I believe, predicted also the LCL for Patrick Mahomes, not just the ACL, in real time with the Sports Injury Central as they're watching it. And he texted me and said, with the LCL confirmed, there's no way that Mahomes will be 100% for the start of next season. Wentz in 2017 is the comp there, just for your conversation piece. So on that note, with what the Chiefs are going forward, that's his Patrick Mahomes. So obviously all these timelines and projections are certainly their own being and their own journey, and Patrick Mahomes will exhaust all options to get back as soon as possible. But what he's saying is, with LCL also being damaged in this injury, the beginning of the season seemingly is going to be a tough task for Patrick Mahomes, which leads to, go ahead, Conman.
Yeah, Schrags, what do you think the Chiefs look like going forward? A lot of, fodder around Kelce's future. Andy Reid, I think we all assume he will be back with Mahomes. And, to Pat's point, even if Mahomes misses the first 4 games, you can see the Chiefs going 13-4 because of how good this guy is. But what do you think they will look like, next year, the year after? Do you think this is kind of the beginning of a shift as far as their culture and maybe mindset and team build goes?
Yeah, look, first off, Mahomes had surgery last night, so already has gotten under the knife with Dr. Cooper, who's one of the best in the game down there in Texas. I texted with Mahomes this morning, nothing for news, just to chat back and forth. And he's in good spirits and is like, yep, we're going to attack this thing. So Mahomes, I think of it from his mental standpoint. And Pat, you could appreciate this. And BA, of course, going on these long playoff runs that you've had. I was heartbroken for the injury, of course, but I'm also heartbroken for Mahomes for the fact that he has played in 7 straight conference championship games, meaning his seasons end in late January, early February for his entire career. When they were getting eliminated this season, I almost felt like all right, at least Mahomes gets an offseason. He's played 4-5 straight extra weeks every single year. And now you're talking about these injuries. He has to attack this like he's never attacked rehab or football in an offseason before. It's a huge mental weight on something that in his head he was probably thinking, all right, if we're out on December 15th, we're out on December 15th. We finish out the string, we'll go from there. But this is going to have to be an individual rehab so tenacious, so aggressive, given the timelines, that it's going to be the hardest offseason he's ever had. So I think of it right from that standpoint, the mental anguish in addition to the physical anguish. And then as far as the teams goes, there will be changes. I don't know if anyone's losing their job, but I would imagine the Chiefs look at themselves in the mirror and say, whatever version we were this year is not going to be enough. So whether they're minor tweaks, whether it's players, whether it's coaches, trust me, Clark Hunt, Mark Donovan, and I would include Brett Veach and Andy Reid in these decisions. They're going to have to look in the mirror and really make some hard choices, because as much as this season didn't go their way, you could also kind of rest on the fact that, well, we were 1-6 in one-score games, or 1-7 in one-score games. Oh, and we still do have a really good young defense. And oh, by the way, the Bengals had an off year. The Ravens are having an off year. There's still a window where next year we get back and we're back in this thing. So I don't expect a complete overhaul, to answer your question, but I would imagine there are some really tough decisions and hard changes that have to be made.
That's so cool. You just text with Patrick Mahomes. Tell him we said hello and Godspeed. We don't know what he sees or what he doesn't see. We assume his blinders are on. And yeah, you talk about his most intense offseason. It's miserable too and very painful going through all of this recovery and rehab. So we're pulling for him. But what it sounds like for you, or what you're saying, is Andy Reid back. Let's go ahead and run this thing again, is what it sounds like you're saying. And then are you also saying the human exclamation point, Travis Kelce, expected in your eyes to be back next year playing? Or that's the big conversation piece, because we're going to have this conversation later with BA. You wanted to make the point, like what Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are is a historic duo in the history of our NFL. The Hall of Fame will showcase them on a very regular basis throughout the history of the league amongst the greats. And who else are they next to? Well, there's been a couple other duos that they'll certainly talk about.
Brady and Gronk and Rivers and Gates. I mean, that's what we're talking about. And you have to go way back, Johnny Unitas and John Mackey, but that's a tight end Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I think you could even add in just like quarterback and pass catcher duos.
Yeah.
Like,
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think they have the most touchdown passes in the postseason to each other in the history of the sport already.
So this is a huge thing for the future of ball in our eyes. And also, as massive fan of Travis Kelce, and as somebody that would never want to, not that I could just text with Travis Kelce on a regular basis, but would never want to say, hey, if I wouldn't want to put the pressure on him to make a decision, because that's a huge decision to make for your football life, for who you have been, and for being a GOAT at a sport. But what is your lean towards that for the future? Because that's a huge part of NFL football that could potentially change next season. And that's the fears whenever we start thinking about this next chapter of this Chiefs dynasty.
I would never dare speculate or put my opinion on it, because I don't have one. And if I know Kelce, of course he likes the off the field stuff and would be a wonderful superstar in cinema, and he could be the next John Cena. He could be whatever he wants to be. But I also know that guy is a dogged competitor and is a football player. So everyone's speculating that just because they missed the playoffs and he's a certain age that he is done. Look, everyone for Brady's last season in Tampa was telling me Brady was done. But Brady came back. Everyone tells you that this guy's done. This guy's done. These guys come back. So I would not, unless you're Travis Kelce or Jason Kelce or Taylor Swift or Mama or Dad Kelce, I wouldn't put your opinion out there as fact, because he hasn't revealed anything to anybody. And my sources in Kansas City have no indication either way. So I'm not going to speculate on his future without him speculating on it first.
Good luck, Trav. Don't be taking any bumps, though. We don't need you to start the John Cena trajectory.
Don't want you losing on your last game either.
Well,